Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back for another episode of Full Steam Ahead,
where we discuss all things STEM with a twist of art.
Our goal is to encourage the next generation of STEM leaders,
bring our experiences to life, and
encourage you to reach your full potential.
Our objective is to
put a spotlight on individuals who have majored or worked in
STEM fields, but leverage themselves into
their passion while also incorporating art. This includes, but is not limited to
music, photography, videography, painting, drawing, and speaking.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of Full Steam Ahead. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. His name is Wallace Miles. Go ahead and welcome yourself to the show, Wallace. We appreciate you coming on.
Man, I'm excited to be here. I've been watching y'all from a distance for a little while, so to be in the same place as y'all it's exciting. Let's get to it.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and read your bio. Go ahead and get started and let the people know who you are, because you definitely have a unique background, and we definitely want to share that and give everybody some knowledge of who you are. So Wallace Miles is a project engineer for a general contractor in the city of Atlanta. But that is the place his life's path has brought him to today. He is the product of choice, determination, and grit. Wallace went to North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, where he entered the challenging major of electrical engineering while also walking onto the football team as a kicker. Wallace decided he was going to be a receiver no matter what anyone else thought or believed. He decided he was going to chase the desires of his heart. In doing so, he changed the course of his life, becoming a school record holder on the field while earning his degree. His hard work and tenacity allowed him to sign an NFL contract and win a Canadian Football League championship with the 2015 Edmonton Eskimos. Though many of his physical talents took him to some of his dreams, he knows his mental strength and awareness has and will continue to allow him to land on his feet and push him further and farther. With all Wallace has accomplished and experienced, he feels the greater joy is inspiring others to know they can attain any dream they feel pulling at their heart. All it takes is a decision, followed by a persistent, consistent chase. The real treasure in striving for your dreams is the growth and experience along the journey. With no further ado, please welcome Wallace Miles.
That's what's up, man. That's what's
good,
up. Yeah, man.
I like that. Look, I
needed
seen that written down, but I ain't never heard it like that. That was dope.
Hey, yep. So welcome again to the show. We definitely glad to have you on here. We like to kick things off, not necessarily non-traditionally, but we kind of like to get to know a little bit more about you. So we do this thing called Lessons in the Trap, or our lit segment of this podcast. So what you'll do here is you'll talk about a song that has motivated, inspired you, has, gotten you through a rough time or tough time or anything like that, or maybe you just like the beat of the song. So I'll let you go ahead and tell us what song you've got on your mind right now.
Yeah, man. A song that really hit me in a time that I really needed it, honestly. It was My Moment. I think it's DJ Drama, 2 Chainz, Meek Mill. Probably came out in like 2008, but I was going through a process of like I feel like I know who I am, but nobody else sees it, and I don't have any real proof of it. And that song just kept reiterating in my head that you got to prepare for your moment, even though it may not be here right now. You got to put in the work, the time, the effort to be ready for my moment. And that was me going into A&T pretty much. So as I continue to progress through my decisions and chasing, my moment always stuck in my head, so I was always trying to be ready for it.
That's what's up, man.
Definitely a banger, man. I used to jam that a lot back in 2012, around that era, man. That was a dope song.
Yeah, I definitely they used to get me through some stuff too, and then it makes you think about, oh yeah, okay, it's my moment, and it's nobody else's moment, but you gotta stay focused when you keep that in mind. You can't drift off and be looking at what everybody else is doing.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big point right there because you, especially in today's society, you see everybody else having their moments, but you got to focus and maintain that you're ready for yours, and that entails doing all the studying that you have to do, all the weights you got to lift, all the sprints you got to run. You got to do those because if you don't, I always say if you don't, you won't. If you don't go through all of that, you won't be ready for your moment.
Okay, I see you with the quotables.
Wise words, man. Tweetable.
Yep. Taylor, you want to go ahead and knock out your lessons in the trap?
Yeah, man, I've been on this cold kick. Off season came out back in May or something like that, and then we just saw J. Cole and at Rolling Loud last month. So that was dope. So you like listen to an album and you have like the songs that stick out at first, whatever. You like go back and listen to it, and you start other stuff start like sticking out or whatever. This song was kind of like that. Different. I noticed the song initially, but then I started noticing like the vocals of other parts like as I listened to it more. But Hunger on Hillside, which is the outro track. Banger. Yeah, bro, I love that song. I've always loved it, but then I started like listening to Boz's parts, and I love the vocals. But
that's my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, it's gone up on the list, man, and I don't want to like sing the whole song because like the whole song is inspirational to me, but it starts out with saying God has a plan for you, and all you have to do is believe, believe, believe. And then the hook, it says shit gonna get hard, keep your head strong. If I quit now, then I'm dead wrong. Fighting off this hunger for hours. Big step up, gonna get stepped on. And man, that just motivates me. I feel like it's gonna motivate me and hit me at different parts of my life, like no matter what I'm going through. Now if I'm stressing about my career and trying to figure out what my next move is gonna be, that's like that song. I just listen to the song and it motivates me when I'm thinking about the things I want to do on the side to try to like build my legacy. It's something that just hits, and shit hits now. I feel like when you come to obstacles in the future, this song's gonna just resonate with me. So yeah, I've been having this song on repeat like probably the last 2 months or whatever. So yeah, that's my lessons in the trap.
I dig it. I like
it.
Yeah, definitely a banger, a dope song. You be stealing my Cole songs because I'll be wanting to use them later on. And I'll be like, dang,
we need a Google Doc, man. Yeah.
It's all good.
I've been on the cold kick for real. That's what I'm saying. I've been on the cold kick for real lately, man.
Right. And he got something else with Benny the Butcher that just came out. I think like earlier this week.
Man, I was just listening to Benny.
Yeah, he's spitting
shit this morning. I just really came up on him or whatever. So I gotta check that out too.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and drop mine. So mine is actually I believe, I don't want to say he's like a J. Cole prodigy or nothing like that, but to me he like a younger J. Cole in a sense, but different, but not exactly. Corday. He has Gifted, and it's Gifted featuring Ant Clemens and Roddy Ricch. And I don't have no specific lyrics, but the whole song is just like gifted. He's basically telling you like, I'm gifted. So to me that means that you have to tell yourself you gotta wake up every day and tell yourself you're gifted. There's a reason why you're doing what you're doing. There's a reason why you're in the position that you're in. You have something to offer the world. When you start to realize that, then you realize I'm here for a reason. When people don't realize that they're here for a reason, that they don't have a specific purpose, then that's when they just like, well, like I'm disposable in a sense. And once you start having that mindset, that deteriorates your drive, that deteriorates your hunger, the way you feel about yourself. So you just gotta recognize that you're gifted and you got a lot to offer.
I like the way you looked at that, man, because I actually didn't when I listened to that song. But you think about everybody's unique, but we gotta pull that gift out of us to give to the world. Every one of us has something that the world needs, but we gotta pull that gift out to be able to give it, and to be able to tell yourself every day that I'm gifted is that reminder, like I'm going to pull this thing out to give to the world because I am a gift to the world. I appreciate you that perspective on that one, dog.
Yes, sir. All right, cool. Well, that'll wrap up our lessons in the trap. Let's go ahead and move on to our NVN or our nature versus nurture section of the podcast. So we have tailored this, no pun intended, tailored this particularly to some things that we think that you might be interested in, or some things that you might make you scratch your head a little bit, on the field and off the field, and in the classroom as well. So the first one is when you play football, when you played in college, when you played pro, when you play now, do you prefer turf or grass?
Turf. Grass feel better.
Turf.
But turf, you know what the terrain is gonna be. Grass got divots, it got mud, it got, you gonna slide. Grass might not be down good enough where it's gonna leave under your feet. Turf, you know what's under your feet.
Makes sense.
Okay. I've heard. Am I wrong? But I feel like there's people that don't like playing on turf. Also, correct?
Yeah, definitely. It's all. I mean, grass is softer. It's better on your knees. Like it's some benefits. But like if I'm trying to be optimal, I want to know everything under my feet is gonna be there. It ain't moving.
Okay. Yeah. Got you. That makes sense. I mean, I don't have nothing to pick from because I don't think I ever played on no turf. But the closest I got was flag football. Yeah. Okay. Taylor, you got a preference? Don't you play? No, you play flag football?
I ain't played in a minute. I ain't played since I was in Tulsa. Yeah, but I've never played on turf before, so I've only marched on turf. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But for that same reason, I'd rather march on turf. You don't have to worry about the weather conditions.
I probably go with turf too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every time I go running and I try to run in the grass to be soft on my feet, I twist my ankle. So I'm gonna say turf also.
That's drastic.
Yeah.
But I feel you though.
Hey. All right, cool. So would you prefer physics 1 or physics 2 if you had to pick one?
Physics 1. Look, I can't even remember sitting through it, but I remember it had my attention because I got some questions right. I got so much stuff wrong and I guess failed so much in physics 2. I almost had to take it again. I guess.
Did you have Sandine?
Yeah. I guess it brought a little bit more out of me, but I got excited about physics 1. I can say that.
Okay, that's interesting because I know like physics 2 is more like electrical. Is more electrical stuff going on, and so I thought maybe you might prefer that.
Man,
over
that's when I started thinking like,
1,
do I really want to do
1
this?
Is more. That's real. Taylor,
Man,
what about you?
I don't remember that stuff, man. That was what, like 12 years ago. I remember taking it at a community college. It was the same professor for 1 and 2. He taught real well, whatever. So it wasn't really it wasn't really an issue. They kind of would come down to your level a little bit. So either one was an issue. I don't remember what I learned in either class, and I never used it again.
Bars.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with physics 1. I feel like physics 1 relates more to civil engineering. It's more like loads dealing with acceleration and stuff like that. So that's my reason.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I just know I had some good feelings in physics 1, and I had a whole bunch of bad feelings in physics 2.
That's real. Okay, so this one, you from Atlanta, so I want to know, and I ask people this sometimes just because I'm always interested to know. Lemon pepper, traditional lemon pepper wings, or spicy lemon pepper?
Traditional, but as of recent, I gotta throw that wet on there. Like at first, it was lemon pepper, dry, normal. But my sister-in-law put me on that wet. I was like, ooh, that's different. That's a game changer. So yeah, traditional wet.
That's real.
I ain't never had wet lemon pepper.
I'm gonna go the same way.
You ain't never had lemon pepper wings?
Lemon pepper.
No, I never had like the wet. The wet kind I just had because I always go to like Wingstop or wherever. It's always dry. Where you get them from?
Just tell them to make it wet. Next time you go to Wingstop, just tell them. Just say I want lemon pepper wet. They'll fix it, right?
All right. I mess.
If not, call Rick Ross.
It is.
So have you ever had spicy lemon pepper?
No.
Yeah, shit, probably. I've had it before, like at other places, but like Wingstop is my standard. Like I compare all the like other wings. I compare it to Wingstop is like better or worse or whatever. So, not that I really,
Interesting.
You don't have a standard place.
Okay. It'd be the hood spots. The hood spots are the Chinese spots.
Never had.
The Chinese spots don't really do spicy lemon pepper, but they always do the lemon pepper good though.
You like Chinese spot wings? I ain't never tried them. I hear they good. But I ain't
The
never
ones
tried
that, this one on Covenant Highway. Well, it used to be on Covenant Highway in Panola.
Yeah.
That we used to go to all the time. So, but yeah, you can. I mean, it's various ones in the city that you can hit.
Bet.
All right, we gonna jump to the last one. Audiobook or actual book in terms of reading?
Audiobook, man. And it's two reasons. One, it's I move around so much and so fast. I'm always in the car, so it gives me an opportunity to learn and listen while I'm still progressing in the things I got to do during the day. And then two, when I sit down and read in a book, for some reason, I just be ready to go to sleep. So it's something I do at night. So yeah, audiobook, and I can rewind it if I miss something. Yeah, I'm down for the audio.
I'm on the same wave. Same right here.
I don't know. I can't do audiobooks, man. It doesn't make sense. I listen to podcasts all day about people talking about whatever. When it comes to like actual books, like I need to like sit down and actually read. Like when I listen to audiobooks, my mind just starts to like wonder about other stuff. So yeah, I still prefer actual books that I can touch and read. I got a whole bunch of books right here. Now if I read them, not really, but I prefer books. That's a whole other story. Yeah.
All right.
Look, but see, that's my problem in both of them.
Good to know y'all.
I can go 15 minutes reading an audiobook. I mean, listen to an audiobook or reading a book. And if I don't know what I listen to or read, it's a whole lot easier to press that 15-second rewind and listen to it again. Instead of going back and flipping back.
True. Yep. Glad to know y'all thoughts on that. Now we're gonna jump into. We're gonna let Taylor take the reins on this one. Our blowing off some steam segment, aka boss segment.
Yeah.
So go ahead and
man,
jump
this stuff just happened recently. Wallace, maybe you can shed some light on this as well as I speak on it. But so we just got a crib not too long ago. Been having some drainage issues around the house, or whatever. So I'm like, okay, so what you do, you like hop online, whatever, try to get different recommendations from people who can come and fix whatever. So we get some contractors come out here to come like give us a quote on like give us an opinion on what needs to be done, and then like kind of give me a little quote, whatever. So first of all, I called like 3 or 4 people. 2 of them didn't answer, left a message. One dude answered, said I'm gonna come out. Came out. I was like, all right, bet. What all you think I need done? He was like, I think you need this, this, and this. I was like, all right, can you like just kind of like spitball like what you think is gonna be quote wise before you actually like write up the official quote. He was like, okay, it's probably gonna be about this much. All right, cool. He's like, I'm gonna come back with my partner maybe early part of next week, so we can actually get measurements and all this other stuff, and we can give you actual quote. And I'm like, all right, cool. Now, I've like worked with contractors before, so I'm like, all right, if I don't hear from you like midweek, I'm gonna hit you back up. And he's like, all right, cool. Didn't hear from him. Called him up, no answer. Left a message, no call back. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get to do it one more time. The next day I texted, I was like, hey, I'm just following up, whatever. And he hit me up and ended up saying like one of the dudes he's gonna come out with was sick or something. Like, okay, that stuff happened. He's like, but we may be able to get that tomorrow. And I was like, okay, cool, just let me know. Next day, don't hear anything. And I'm like, bro. And this happens so much, man. Like with just different, contractors with like electricity, plumbers, whatever. You hit them up, they say they're gonna do something, they just don't do it. And I'm like, bro, like I can deal. If you tell me you can't do the job or you busy or what, I don't like you, whatever. Just like let me know. Like just why do you just not answer? Why do you just say you? Yeah, why don't you do what you say you're gonna do? That stuff be driving me crazy, man. But I've heard that's like not uncommon. It just depends on who you're dealing with. When I talk to a lot of my friends about, they're in real estate or whatever, they were like, man, I deal with this stuff all the time, man. It's just, when you find a good one, you better keep them because people don't. So do you deal with that side of of contracting or what?
Man, all the time. I had recently, and part of my job is to make sure all material and all subs hit the job as a schedule requires. Man, I had a sub I've been talking to since, I say October, maybe September. Talking about material, getting all the stuff, all the submittals and everything. We set a date for 12/13, December 13th. 2 weeks before I check in, you good? Yeah, we good. December 13th, show up. Nothing. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give a call. Maybe he held up later on in the day.
Yeah, life happens.
No answer. Yeah, no answer. So for the next 2 weeks,
No answer.
and like this, like we contracted. They signed up already. I can't go and get nobody else without making a big deal out of it. So next 2 weeks, no answer. Get my project manager, my operations manager, give them a call. No answer. I'm like, bro, you killing us right now. I'm telling the owner this is about to happen. It's not happening. Look like we're not doing our job.
Exactly.
And then like,
Well, they probably screwed y'all critical path all the way up.
luckily they were the last piece for this one room. So we trying to finish the job up early, honestly, so we can kind of get our GCs off the job. But they called me like a week and a half ago. It might have been 2 weeks ago. Like, oh, our material just came in. I'm like, I've been asking you for this material for 4 months now, and it's just now. So they finished their what?
Dang, 4 months?
Yeah, they finished their job last week. But I'm just like, all you gotta do is communicate, bro.
That's
what
it,
happens
man.
Right.
What happens is I got plans.
Communication saves the nation.
I got plans that's coming right after that. Or I got plans that are around that. Now I don't know what's happening. Other people coming to the job can't do their job. So like that's a standard. But I think part of it is because a lot of the guys that, especially in residential, a lot of the guys doing the work, they do the work. They don't necessarily have communication skills. So it's like, oh, I got a bigger job over here. Let me go do this work. I'll come back and get them if it's available.
I've heard that. They know how to do the work. They're not into the business side of it. And so that's if you just getting somebody that's like a subcontractor or whatever. And they like on the flip side, you can get these like big, when I say commercial, I don't mean like commercial like real estate or anything, but just like these big companies that have, project managers and GCs and all this other stuff.
Right.
You can get them and they're gonna be on time, but you're gonna be paying a premium
It's a
because
little bit more expensive.
I don't even say overcharge. I mean, some of them do overcharge, but they have more overhead, they have more things they have to pay. So yeah, so I get that. It's just trying to find that balance. Somebody's gonna do good quality work and communicate. That it's frustrating, but that's
and then you got to deal with like, is it worth the time going to trying to find somebody else that may come in higher? I'm like, I got this price locked down.
Right.
I guess I'll just stress over trying to get on their schedule, but
yeah,
it's just part of the game, I guess.
So do you ever get? I don't know if you deal with this part of it, but like people like in the initial stage, like getting quotes or whatever, like, is there something that people will do to be like, okay, I'm gonna tell them I'm gonna do this and then like not do it? Like, is it something that makes you say like, I don't know if my question makes sense, but let me give you an example.
A little bit.
Yeah, let me give you an example. So like, sometimes GCs will come out and they'll say like, oh, this price to do your roof gonna be $30,000. We know that's way too much. Like, they just bidding it high because they really don't want the job. Is there something is there something that makes you say like, when you going out there like, I don't actually want to do this job, so I'm just gonna like give them a really high bid or whatever? Like, it's something that makes you do that.
I mean, it only makes sense. I don't do it from my standards, but it's like, okay, if I've got enough work to keep my business running, and I'm good, but you come to me with something that I don't necessarily want to do, I'll throw this high price out, and if you pay it, I just made a bunch of money. If you decide not to go with me, I'm already good. So it makes sense. I just had an asphalt sub shoot me this number, and I'm like, this is stupid. Matter of fact, I had a guy build a 80-foot furred out wall for like 20 grand. I'm like, this is crazy. But we needed it in a certain amount of time. He didn't need the work. We paid 20 grand.
Yeah.
But
Capitalism.
So, quick question. I wanna interrupt y'all for half a second. Before you, I guess my question is, how did you get into construction, and what does your day-to-day look like working as a general contractor?
So it's actually kind of crazy how I got into construction. I left A&T with my electrical engineering degree, but I went and played football, so I went to Detroit, and I went to Canada for about 4.5 years. But in the midst of it, while I was in Canada, I would come home in the summer, and my mother, being my guardian angel, she started to see that you need to kind of look into some other options outside of football. So she hooked me up with this GC. We just sat down and have a talk. I was just trying to see if it was a viable option, and he gave me an internship. Like, bro, I'm trying to still play football, but I had this little 8-week internship, and I started to watch one of my project managers, and I'm like, this dude knows everything about this project. People on this job respect him. He helps everybody that comes in the door. Like, I was like, this is the kind of leader I want to be. It wasn't even about the job. It was just like leadership. So when I got done playing in 2017, I went to Virginia. Then I came home and started working with a small GC. And we were grinding. I mean, doing the hard stuff on the job. But I reached back out to the guy that gave me an internship and just was trying to talk to him about the path of construction, some things, some options I might need to look into. And my man looked at me and was like, so you looking to make a move? I said, possibly. He said, I got a job for you. So I jumped into it, and he put me in ground level. Like, I was out laying walls out. I was down in the mud. I was out there pouring concrete, drilling into the concrete, putting rebar in. Like, I was doing all the grimy stuff. But it was all in
the trenches.
Yeah, it was all in the aim of giving me the understanding of what it actually takes to build a building, to do construction. And then from there, it was a transition into the office where I was working on submittals, learning about schedule, and then just transitioning to where I am now. So it was kind of weird, but like I said, my mother was my guardian angel, and she just kind of gave me a path. And like I said, I decide and I chase consistently, and things just start to evolve.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's.
Oh, so I was going. So
you got Taylor.
I heard what you were doing before. So like, what does your job look like now that you've kind of gone up? That you kind of made your way through the company.
So now I'm an assistant project manager, and it's more coordination. I mean, it's like everything on the job needs coordination. Issues that arise, schedule updates, document updates, making sure all the material is on the way, what the status is, being able to communicate with manufacturers, communicate with subs, tell them when they need to be on site, when they need to be done, because we're trying to meet that schedule. So it's mainly coordination now. I'm working a little bit with contracts, learning how to set those up for our best interest, but also to make sure we incorporate everything. So that's the biggest thing, is like scope gaps really hurt when you get to a project. That's how that wall I told you, it was a scope gap. So now we got to pay extra because we need it now. So just understanding that. So my day-to-day is really just going in, talking with the superintendent, being available for any questions, any issues, but then also thinking, my division manager likes to say, 6 months ahead. I'm thinking long-term, what issues are we about to run into that we can handle now? Thinking about, like, we got mechanical units that are 29 weeks out. That's over a half a year that we got to prepare for, but then the schedule has to adjust around that. So that's the day-to-day now, just solving problems before they become problems.
That's real. I know what you mean, because in my industry, like when we order structures and stuff like that, like you have to be on time, because if not, depending on if it's a concrete pole, you can get it in like 16, 22 weeks. But if it's steel, it could be anywhere. It could be 26, 30 weeks or something like that. And you like, it's gonna take this long. And then if you mess up, you design something the wrong way, well then, like, you somehow have to replace that, and you can't. The project can't always wait for another 26, 30 weeks to replace it. So now your client is mad at you, right? So it's really interesting when you get to the point to where you can look at things from a bird's eye view, or you can kind of look, further down the road in order to see that. And that's really impressive that you've been able to, pick up that skill. One thing I wanted to ask you, I wanted to rewind a little bit. So being that football and electrical engineering are pretty much polar opposites in terms of the time management spectrum. They don't really go together. Like football, sports in college, and major in electrical engineering. Most people don't put those two things together. So tell us how you did that, and what made you even want to go that route. I know I mentioned that in your bio a little bit earlier.
Part of it I was ignorant. The other part I had the desire. So when I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to do engineering. That was a given. But I didn't know I was going to get a chance to play football. Like you said earlier, I walked on as a kicker. So my desire to play football was so great that I would do anything and deal with anything to maintain that. So if it meant that I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, to make sure I went to 6 a.m. workouts, and then went to all 5 of my classes, and then went to the weight room, and then went to a film session, then to practice, and then the study hall. Like, I was like, I'm desiring to play. I want to do this, so this is what it's going to take. I missed a lot of parties. I missed a lot of activities. James, and y'all probably had a bunch of activities that I wasn't there. A lot of parties, because I was like,
or you might pop in and then
be out.
Dip out.
Because I was like, I'm going to go have a little fun, but I got to go I didn't want my nights to affect my days or my mornings, because we had to do so much in the morning. It's kind of actually how I am now. But it was really just that decision and the desire to, because I actually had my first counselor at A&T. I ain't going to call his name out because you probably know him. You may know him, but he.
And for the people that don't know, Wallace and I went to college together. Just to give y'all a little bit of background, we had classes together from the same city, all that.
He told me, he's like, you're not going to be able to do this. He was talking about playing football and engineering. And for some reason, I'm just like, bro, you don't know me. Like, I could do whatever I put my mind to. Ignorant. I didn't know what it was going to take. I just knew what I wanted to do. So I eventually learned the schedule, a system that worked for me, and just continued to press. I missed a lot, but I also was able to achieve and do a lot.
Gotcha. Hey, you did it. You got it done.
So, yeah.
Got it done. That's all that matters. Yeah. A lot of grind, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
So, is there anything that you would do differently, like college-wise? Does it sound like you kind of not stretched, but you had a lot of different things going on. So, is there anything you would do it differently, or do you like the way that it played out?
I love the way that it played out. Hindsight is 20/20, so there are some things I would have done differently that would have helped me be more efficient. But I don't think, like, if I changed it, would I have the same tenacity that I have today, the same grind, the same vision? So I don't want to change it. I know some things that could have helped me, but I'm happy with the journey to get to the result that I have today.
Yeah. That's what it's about too. It's the journey, and you can't really penalize yourself for like knowing more now than you did at the time. You make decisions based on what you know. Yeah. And sound like you did that. You went to college, walked on the team, and so what happened? You walked on as a kicker and ended up being a receiver. So how did that go?
That was really a decision. Let me tell you a little quick story. So the first day I came in,
you got to tell them what you did in high school.
I was a soccer player in high school, and I kicked in high school. So that kind of gave me a foundation in kicking. But I didn't get a chance to really play receiver. That's what I really wanted to do. But my team was stacked. I went to Westlake High School. It's dudes all over the country in the NFL. We had the most dudes in the NFL at one time.
Cam.
Yeah. My quarterback was Cam Newton. I didn't get a chance to play receiver a whole lot. Yeah, it is. But when I got to college, crazy how like I used to lose a lot in high school, but I was playing top tier talent. But when I got to college, and I made a decision one morning, I was like, I'm done being a kicker. I'm gonna be a receiver. So I took some cleats, some receiver cleats with a little longer spike for the grass, so I didn't slip and fall. And I had some kicking cleats. So I wore the kicking cleats out to practice. I put the receiver cleats underneath the goalpost pad because I'm like, I'm about to make a change. We went through the kicking portion of it, and I just went over there when nobody was looking after kicking was done and changed my cleats. And I ran over and got in the line with the receivers. The coach questioned me, like, what you doing, bro? I'm like, don't worry about it, coach. I mean, in camp, you just need numbers.
All right.
In camp, you need numbers. So I guess it didn't hurt him too bad. But for me, that was like, I'm here, and I'm not leaving. And from that day forward, I was a receiver. I mean, they made me kick a little bit, but I was committed. Man.
That's what's up.
Decision.
That's what's
and
up.
Died, bro. That's exactly what happened. And from there, I just ran with it and just pushed the limits.
And so, can you tell us a little? Change your cleats is a phrase that you use as part of your brand. Tell us a little more about that.
So my company is Change Your Seats LLC, but that's what it was birthed from. It was birthed from that moment. But what did that moment mean? It was the world was telling me, like in high school, they nicknamed me Kicker. Like I hated doing this, but you gonna call me that. When I got to A&T, that I was the kicker again. So I was like, I'm done with people telling me I am, what I can do, and I changed my cleats.
Tell them they don't know your life.
Yeah, but you don't know me. People say that, but like for real, you don't know me. You don't know what I'm capable of and what's burning behind this. I had an instance where I was late for church one day, so they benched me. And I'm like, so you think you're gonna break me because you put me down here on the scout team? They didn't realize when I got to A&T, I was on the scout team every day for a whole year. Man, this is home. Like you're not gonna tell me who I am or what I can do, and you're not gonna stop me. So that was just my mentality. And Change Your Cleats is decide who you are, decide what you want to do,
right? And
chase and go after that with everything that you have. And like people say, I didn't go to the NFL and have an illustrious career, but that's the other part of it. It's like chase it with all you have, and you'll gain so many skills that are going to carry you throughout the rest of your life, not just to that one point, that one goal. So that's the birthplace, right. And that's what Change Your Cleats means.
Man, that's incredible. Yeah, that's a crazy story, and just on top of that, you defining your own path and all those different things. How can you relate that to the STEM world or to the STEAM world and people who aren't necessarily playing football, but they are, doing research, or they are going to work, they're aspiring to get to a certain position in a company, or just start their own company?
Honestly, I use you as an example because, and I might throw out a little.
As in me?
Yeah, you. I might throw out a little bit more information, but it's that decision. And I watched you decide you wanted to be an engineer, but I also heard in the background, James failed the FE. James failed the FE. James failed the FE. James passed the FE. James taking the PE. Like, it's that decision to continue to grind, and if it takes all night, like I would go from class when I was about to go to the NFL, from class to prolific part, back to studying and trying to finish up my senior project till 2:00 in the morning, to wake up at 6. Like, it's go, bro. Just go. If that's what you decide you want to do, it's gonna take some stuff that nobody's ever gonna see. But the experience of you doing it, the experience of you putting all that time in to get your PE, it may not look good when you fail, but for the rest of your life, you got all the knowledge and experience that you know how to drive and push yourself. That's how I look at it. So, like, I use you as an example when I'm talking about school. For me, I had this concept of catching both. Coach used to throw 2 balls. You got to figure out how to catch them both. Football was 1 ball. My engineering degree was another. So you got to keep everything in your sights and be able to adjust to be able to make sure you catch the first ball and the second one, even if they come at the same time.
Dang, man, that touched my heart. It touched my heart. I didn't even know, I definitely have had some ups and downs when it comes to both the FE and the PE. So, I appreciate you saying that. And, that's part of my motivation as well. You going like people see the success, or they see, the tip of the iceberg, but they don't see everything that's below that or that happened before that. And that goes back to, people saying, what you can't do, or people assuming that you either got places easily, or whatever, because you don't know somebody's life, so you can't just judge them like that. But you got to know for yourself, what's deep down in your heart and how you get to those milestones, and you hit those goals that you want to get to.
I think what's important with that, with what y'all said, and y'all kind of mentioned this earlier too, is that I guess, James, what you kind of saying is like you just see the end result, or you just see the tip of the iceberg, or when you're thinking about like social media and you just seeing people's wins, people mostly just posting their wins, and you don't see all the grind that they had to go through, all the sacrifice they had to make to get to that point. And so that just means like it's important to just stay in your lane and like try to keep your blinders on as much as possible, and just try to beat yourself every day, rather than like trying to compete with. Like it's a shadow, you're just trying to compete with somebody's end result, and you're not seeing everything they have to go through. So you got to stay in your lane.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Man, Wallace out here dropping gems, spitting quotables, all the above. Tell us a little bit more about. Well, we haven't mentioned this. Tell us about Underrated, because that's also part of your brand as well and what you do.
So Underrated, the route they call the NFL Dream, is the book of my story. And initially it started out just as a tale of what I did, what happened. But as I evolved, and that's why it actually took so long, it took me 8 years to put it together and put out, I started to look back and like, how did what I go through, the actual acts, the bullet points, how was my perspective then? How is my perspective now? What was right and what can I carry with me the rest of my life? So the book Underrated evolved into this story, honestly, I'm gonna call it a blueprint because of how in depth it goes into why. Like, you can go in and run up a hill, but why? Coach used to tell me to do this footwork drill. I didn't know why I was doing it. So the book goes through different instances of my life and my path, but why? Why did it happen? Why was I there? I even had instances where I was ready to quit, but I had to sit down and remember, why did I start? So that was this book I put out in May. You can go get it on Amazon, but it's just the story of deciding, chasing, and what did you gain from it? What goes in your toolbox as you continue on throughout the rest of your life? Because we all got a story, we all got a book. But what are you going to carry from this chapter or this section of your book into the next one to help you grow further?
Right, definitely. And when you, as I heard you say that, you're pretty transparent. You talked about your ups and downs, things that people said to you, and I think like for me, you mentioned me not passing the FE, sometimes and working hard, and a lot of people, would, there's times when I haven't wanted to back then when I was trying to pass it, it was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna tell people I'm taking this again, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But I realized that you have to be transparent, and it's not even being transparent. It's being transparent for yourself, because you just have to let things flow. Let people judge. If people gonna judge you, they're gonna judge you. Right. But you also have to be transparent for other people and God's purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like there's somebody else that needs to hear our stories. There's somebody else that needs to know, okay, this person failed, but look where they are now. Like, somebody else needs to hear those things. But if everybody's hiding everything, hey, yeah, you might have failed, but you got back up and you did this. Don't make it look like it's some, beautiful story, like, oh, this person did this, they did it the first time, and that's it. Just, talk about what happens. And some people do pass, the
first time,
all their tests, they knock them out right out the way, but you don't know what else is going on in their life. So I think it's important, and I appreciate you for putting out the book and being transparent and talking about, all of your ups and downs, lows, highs, all those different things.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece that we have to, and my podcast, Driving Dimes, is about being transparent, being open. Like, what am I dealing with? What is society? How do I see society? What can I do better with my life? Like, being honest and open with, like, I got a situation in the book, and I want y'all to go read it, where when it happens, you'll know, where, like, I reconsidered who I was as an entire person. I had to sit down and reflect, like, is this who you really are? And I did some stuff that wasn't right. But being able to sit and talk to somebody about that, because we all go through our thing, but everybody goes through that thing. And being able to talk about it can help that person, that next person that fails the FE.
Right. Or the PE, or, you know,
whatever.
Getting to any culture and not necessarily, quote unquote, succeed.
Right.
So.
You feel like you've always been this, like, transparent person, or is that something you had to kind of work towards as you've gone through life?
Oh no, I had to work toward it, man. I was somebody who I always wanted to portray an image of doing the right thing, being a good guy. But I started to learn, like, that's a facade, because I actually am going through some stuff that's real, that's not right. Even as a man, I'm learning some things that happened as a child. Like, I made it look good, or my parents made it look good, but really this was an issue that we need to dive into, that we can actually grow from.
Yeah.
Because I feel like any seed that you plant, you got to dig down first for it to grow up.
Yeah.
It's real. Got to snap for the quotables, poetry out here. Well, that's what's up. Yeah, man. You've kind of laid the foundation. You know. Do you have any tips for aspiring people that want to be either athletes or an engineer, or athletes that want to be engineer? You have any tips for them?
I would say learn prioritization. Define what your goals are. If your goal is to be an engineer and play sports, define those two goals, and then everything underneath of that, prioritize what is it going to take to get to those two. And the things that fall at the bottom of that priority list, you might need to let them go. Because,
okay,
let's say you are 32 years old now, 31.
I'll be 32 in June.
32 in June.
Cancer.
And let's say you spent,
off topic, but I had to say it.
let's say you spent the last 12 years trying to get your PE. I don't know when you got your PE, but those 12 years of prioritizing will help the trajectory of the rest of your life, but then also the trajectory of your children's lives. So understand how important priorities are to the person you're becoming, but then also the life that the life and the legacy that you're gonna leave.
Right.
Man.
Very interesting. Okay.
But you got a lot of, seems like you have a lot of different interests. You had, football, you engineer, you're doing construction now, a lot of different interests that you have. At the end of the day, like, what do you want your legacy to be? Like, what are your goals, and what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy, what I leave behind, I want my name. So my name comes from my uncle. My uncle was killed at 19 years old in Baltimore. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, never got a chance to meet him. So the name Wallace in my family had that behind it. But I want that name, I want me to carry that name to move forward and do as many great things as I can. Not necessarily for me, but when my nephew, I got a nephew that's into music, when he looks at Wallace, that name, I can go pursue my music and be as great as I can. When my little cousin who's in finance, when he sees my name, he can go and start his own business, run his own business. I want, when you see that name Wallace Miles, when it's dead and gone, to mean I can go beyond what people think I am. I can go beyond where even I think I can go sometimes, but I can go. That's really, like, I look at my sister, she's an entrepreneur, but I want her, when she looks at her big brother, I can go. That's really, at the end of the day, I want people to see the name Wallace Miles. I hope they understand where it came from with my uncle, but then see how far it can go.
Damn. Drop the mic, bro.
Wow. Man. Yeah.
That's deep, man.
I got one last question, and this is more so geared to, I guess, maybe athletes. But so what advice or knowledge can you share regarding pro sports, and like if you played pro sports and then you transition to a traditional, what people call 9 to 5? I don't really think the opposite happens very much. But how would you tell someone that, or what's a way?
So here's another quick story. So when I finished playing at A&T, I didn't know I was going to get a chance to play professional ball. So, of course, when you're going through these career fairs and you're getting interviews. So I went to an interview, and I was done playing. And I was like, she asked me, so what do you do? Pretty much like, what do you do outside of school? I play football. What else? I play football. Like that. To me, growing up, they told us, you play football, everybody's going to want to hire you. So in my head, I was like, that's enough.
He's like, I think you heard me.
It's right here, bro.
Yeah, what else you need?
What you talking about? That's what I do.
But then I started to realize, and that's really how the evolution of the book was, all the things that I learned and gained through chasing playing football. So in football, you learn it's hard sometimes. You learn to put in hard work. You learn to work with teams. You learn to be a leader. You learn to lose. You learn to have dreams and visions and work your way towards them. Like, it's so many things in the midst of where I was in football, in the midst of chasing the engineering degree, that I didn't really understand and know how to project when I was talking to people. So if you going through sports and you're chasing whatever, realize all the skills that you are developing in that space, because they're the same skills that are going to help you in the 9 to 5 world. Honestly, you're going to be a little bit more advanced because in sports, those skills happen to you in an intense fashion. Like, I got knocked on my ass literally. In life, you're going to get knocked on your ass. What did you do when you got knocked on your ass? I got back up. Same thing. But just being able to understand that I'm going through this space and I'm learning things that are going to help me forever. So that's what I would tell an athlete that eventually is going to have to transition into a 9 to 5 or even an entrepreneurship route.
That's cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah, everything is translatable. That's a good mindset, because you some people could look at it and say, like, well, you tried to go to the NFL and didn't have a long career or whatever, and like that be it. Now I'm down on myself because I didn't do that. And it's like, well,
Right.
I can look at everything that I've learned and be able to apply that to different parts of my life. And I think anybody can do that in any situation, like learn, whatever framework they learned out of whatever situation, apply that to wherever else to be successful somewhere else, even if they're not, doing one thing, they're able to do something else because of the things they learned.
100%. I mean, you look at the story I just told you. I walked on to A&T. I was at the bottom. I went into a completely different industry I've never even thought about, in construction and in the muck, in the grind. It's the same thing. You just work. You work, you learn. You talk to people, you grow. Same thing. But instill that in yourself young while you chasing after what you want to do. And then it'll help you do anything that you find yourself in, or the things that you really want to do later on.
Yeah, that's real.
Right. Definitely. Well, Wallace, we really appreciate you coming on Full Steam Ahead and providing another perspective to our viewers and listeners, showing them you can take things from completely different, polar opposites and bring them together and really drive yourself to the goals that you want to meet. Thank you for joining us. Glad to have you. Always good to have another Aggie in the building.
Pride,
We
man.
appreciate it. Aggie Pride. And thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
Appreciate y'all, man, for real. True.
Man, good talking with you, bro.